I'm Bob Blackman, head football coach at the University of Illinois. As president of the American Football Coaches Association, I have the honor of introducing to you the best college football players in the nation. What you're going to see has come about only after thousands of players have been scouted and literally millions of feet of film have been studied by the football coaches of all the major colleges of the nation. By the end of the season, our coaches have either seen all the top players in action or have compared them in game movies. And we feel these are the young men who are most deserving of All-American honors.
'74 was highlighted by a staggering number of major upsets and the greatest swing to running in the history of the game. Nearly half of the 128 major college teams employed the ground-oriented veer or wishbone offenses. And the quarterback was the key. He ran, he optioned, he read defenses, his legs as vital as his arm. In the heat of the battle, his courage and quick thinking often were the difference between victory or defeat.
I've called triple option right. This is the kind of play that a quarterback must make 3 quick decisions in a matter of seconds. Set! 2! I immediately try and pick up the defensive end, number 66. If he widens, I give the ball to the fullback, which is the first part of the option. If the defensive end commits himself and comes down and tackles the dive back, I pull the ball back and bounce around and turn upfield to the next man outside. When I reach this point, if the defensive cornerback goes after the pitch man, I keep the ball myself and turn upfield and run. If he commits himself and comes after me, I pitch the ball, and that completes the triple option.
3 pressure points on the defense. It is the quarterback's split-second timing that makes it work. He must be an exceptional athlete.
There are a number of very talented quarterbacks in 1974, and selecting the best was not an easy job.
One of the best was Michigan's Dennis Franklin. In 3 years with Franklin at quarterback, the Wolverines won 30 and lost only 2. Steve Bartkowski shattered most of California's passing records and was the best in the West. Tom Clements guided Notre Dame to a 9-2 record and into the Orange Bowl. But according to the coaches, a Nebraska senior best combined the ability to run and pass. A lefty from Las Vegas, Dave Hum, was so consistent that he fired a Big 8 record 15 straight completions. In the annual shootout with undefeated Oklahoma, Hum threw 1 touchdown and scored another on this razzle-dazzler that completely fooled the Sooners. A 3-year starter, Hum passed or ran for more touchdowns than any quarterback in Big 8 history. One of the best ever in a year that quarterbacks did much more than throw a football. Dave Hum of Nebraska.
Coaches look for those big, quick linemen who would love to hit. In 1974, there were many outstanding defensive stars who took pride in stopping the offense.
Stanford, Coach Jack Christensen had two outstanding All-American candidates.
Not many schools or coaching staffs are blessed with having two great defensive people in the defensive line at one time. But here at Stanford, with Roger Stillwell and Pat Donovan, we are blessed with two of the best in college football today.
Stillwell, number 91, and Donovan, number 83, teamed up to terrorize enemy runners. They consistently helped each other on and off the field. And who should know All-America Pat Donovan any better than Roger Stillwell?
He's a great athlete. He's hang loose. He doesn't get bothered by too much. He doesn't let anything get him down. He's a super ball player. He's constantly making the second effort. He's just a good athlete and a great person.
The thing I've appreciated most about Roger is last year I was coming in pretty fresh into the year, and he helped me. You know, it's got to be told to you from an experienced standpoint. Roger's played a lot of football, and that's what I'd say is, you know, the biggest thing that I've known him for, you know, is just being so helpful.
With Roger Stillwell's help, Pat Donovan made it all the way. Penn State, long renowned for its crunching defense, is proud of 235-pound senior Mike Hartenstein, number 79. As good as any lineman we've ever had at Penn State is strong praise coming from Coach Joe Paterno. Feared for his quickness, Hartenstein was a nightmare to enemy quarterbacks. Another All-America from a school that takes pride in its defense. Mike Hartenstein of Penn State. University of Miami followers say, without a doubt, Reuben Carter is the best down lineman in the school's history. A 260-pound senior with 4.7 speed, Carter helped make football fun at Miami. Mississippi State completed its best season in 28 years, sparked by the super tackling of Jimmy Webb, number 70. An academic All-America, Webb was tops in the classroom and on the football field. Maryland won its first outright Atlantic Coast Conference championship ever. Coach Jerry Claiborne's tower of strength was defensive tackle Randy White, number 94.
Every time I pull this weight down, I'm thinking about my opponent, trying to do just a little bit more than he does so I can just get the edge on him.
Randy White is one of the greatest linemen in the United States today. He has improved his strength to where he bench presses 450 pounds. He weighs himself 250 pounds, and he runs a 40 and 4.65.
Well, I come to the University of Maryland. I never lifted weight before in my life. Coach Claiborne came and emphasized weightlifting, and that's when I started lifting, and I've worked up to bench pressing 450 pounds. It helps your endurance, it helps your confidence mostly. It gives you confidence when you're playing against somebody and you know you're stronger than him. It helped me control the man in front of me. That was one of the problems I had when I was a sophomore due to the lack of strength, but through weightlifting I think it's helped me improve myself.
Randy White dedicated his every moment to improving himself. The long hours of hard work paid off, making Randy White winner of the Outland Trophy and an overwhelming choice on the coach's All-America defensive line.
The key to a good defense is the linebacker. He must be tough enough to fight off a block and meet the ball carrier head on. And he must be quick enough to stop a wide sweep or cover a pass receiver. These young men are exceptional athletes and deserving of All-American recognition.
Oklahoma fans feel Rod Schote, number 43, may be the best linebacker to ever play college football. And can he hit? That's worth another look, if number 12 doesn't mind. No wonder his coach calls him sudden death. The Sooners' first three-time All-America, Choate was in on more than 150 tackles this season, including an amazing 25 against Texas. The senior from Spiro, Oklahoma, searches out his enemy and takes off after him with the speed of a running back. Oklahoma has won 32, lost only one and tied one. In the 3 years, its starting linebacker has been All-America Rod Choate. The battle cry at Auburn is go get 'em, and Ken Burnich, number 53, possessed the instinct and determination to always be near the football, making this War Eagle senior one of the best in any college anywhere. Bob Brunig, the heart of the Arizona State defense, topped his team in tackles for 3 years. A pre-law student, Brunig joins Rod Choate and Ken Burnich as All-America linebackers. The defensive back must react quickly. Either go for the interception or break up the play any way possible. To watch one of college football's most talented deep backs, we're joining the homecoming celebration of Louisiana State University. Each year, on many campuses across the country, students spend countless hours on the color and pageantry that help to make Autumn Saturdays a day to remember. The LSU Tigers greet the enemy with some of the loudest fans anywhere. And always one of the meanest defenses in the country. Put a player of Mike Williams' talent on the dreaded Tiger defense, and nobody's going to score too many points on LSU. Williams has the speed and tackling ability Tiger fans love, and the visitors pay the consequences. They cheer defense nearly as much as touchdowns at LSU, and senior Mike Williams was a big reason they cheered. Joining Mike Williams, the coaches picked Bob Giblin of Houston. A pre-med senior, Giblin's ball hawking provided the impetus for the Cougars' 8-3 record and a berth in the Astro Bluebonnet Bowl. Michigan fielded the nation's top defense against Goring. Coach Bo Schembechler's ace in the hole was a 2-time All-America.
David Brown, our safety man, has done an exceptional job for us this past year. Not only is a great pass defender, which of course all safety men must be, but in today's college football, the safety man has to be the type of a guy who can make tackles from sideline to sideline against all the various option plays that we meet. That's where David has been invaluable to us. Not only can he defend the pass, but he's a great back against the run as well.
Great tackler, feared pass defender, and exciting punt returner. All good reasons Dave Brown sparked Michigan to 20 wins and only 1 loss in 2 years as an All-America defensive back. The runners, the pass catchers, and the blockers are still to come. But now let's enjoy some of the spectacular pageantry that makes college football unique.
concentration, and good hands are important to pass receivers. The young men we selected as the offensive receivers caught many clutch passes in 1974, earning them this special honor.
When Notre Dame needed the big play in 1974, they went to Pete Demerly, number 85. A senior majoring in English and language, Demerly has been an exciting part of 3 great Irish seasons, including 2 Orange Bowl berths, a Sugar Bowl victory, and a national championship. Pete Demerly is an academic All-America and Mr. Clutch in South Bend. At Harvard, 6'6", 210-pound Pat McAnally kicks off, punts, catches passes, and runs with real power. McAnally holds all of the Crimson's receiving records. Is Harvard's first All-America in 33 years and has been nominated for a Rhodes Scholarship. Quite a student athlete, All-America flanker, Pat McAnally. One of 3 juniors selected by the coaches is Clemson's rugged Ben Cunningham. At 6'5" and 252 pounds, with the speed to bust any play, Cunningham has been nicknamed the Young Giant. He looked like a bull to potential tacklers as Ben Cunningham earned a spot as an All-America tight end. It takes a particularly dedicated young man to excel in the offensive line. It is not a glamour position. There are not many headlines, and hours of practice are long and hard. But master these techniques, learn the job well, and the offensive lineman is the key to a successful season. At Nebraska, 240-pound senior Marvin Crenshaw cleared the path for vital Cornhusker touchdown. Notre Dame's Jerry DiNardo, number 72, wiped out tacklers for the Fighting Irish. DiNardo's brother Larry was the coach's All-America several years ago. Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where Tar Heel fans believe Ken Huff, number 68, may be the best blocker in the history of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Alabama's Sylvester Crome, a senior from Tuscaloosa, sparked that Tide wishbone attack that gave Bama its 3rd unbeaten regular season in 4 years. At Ohio State, fullback off left tackle is bread and butter football. And when the left tackle is Kurt Schumacher, it usually means 6 points.
It gives you a real good feeling when it's 4th and about 1, and they've got the confidence in you. Say, well, we're coming right at you. Our goal line offense and our primary responsibility is not to allow any penetration by the defensive tackle. Just put your head right on his numbers and take him whichever way he wants to go. We scored on our robust 27, which is a fullback off left tackle. When you do get in, it gives you as much of a lift. The backer sees when he scores.
That's the way it's done at Ohio State. But what's the boss think of number 72?
Kurt Schumacher is an aggressive blocker. He's got size, speed, he likes to hit, he can fire out or plant his feet to pass block. He's the kind of football player I think is good for Ohio State.
Thank you, honey.
Joining Kurt Schumacher on the offensive line are Nebraska's Marvin Crenshaw, Jerry DiNardo of Notre Dame, Ken Huff of North Carolina, and Alabama's Sylvester Crome. To spot a lineman opening a hole is not always easy. That's why the coaches study game films. They can be sure the players they select are the very best, and the coaches have been doing it this way for a long time.
The intense study of film by football coaches is not something new, because coaches have been doing this for over 50 years. I'm looking right now at a film shot at the University of Illinois when perhaps the greatest college runner of all time, Red Grange, scored 4 touchdowns the first 4 times he touched the ball during the game. This year, there may not have been a halfback who will reach the immortality of Red Grange, and yet there were some fine runners. Let's take a look at them.
The men who put points on the board, the runners, were the stars of 1974. To be a winner, a team needed that exceptional athlete who could run over tacklers, dance through the secondary, and most important, no matter what the obstacle, find the end zone. Two Heisman Trophy winners and many All-Americans have carried a football for Southern California, but none more brilliantly than Anthony Davis. Davis on the right has overtaken his idol O.J. Simpson as the Trojans' all-time top ground gainer.
I notice what you do that some of the other guys don't do. When you see the hole, you're through there so quick. You know, are you looking for that one hole, or you know where you're going to go, or do you just kind of play it by ear then?
I just play it by ear. I just accelerate, and I just let the instinct take over, and that's the only thing I work on. I don't worry about looking for a hole and like this. I just run, accelerate, it had to come. Some guys tend to look for holes. I just get there, and then, if a hole's not there, I'll try to have the ability or not to try to slide outside, or whatever the lane is, wherever daylight is.
I know when I was at SC, I would always pretty much know where I want to go, and if it's not there, I have all my mind concentrated on getting there. I just know the guys that do the job, and if it wasn't there, well, you just improvise. And fortunately, with McKay's system, with everybody blocking all the time, there's always somewhere to go.
Right. There's one thing that before I got to USC, I watched your movement and stepping off your tackles, and the guys were blocking for you. And I like the way you moved and cut across the grain, or either you picked your lane. I like that very much. I somewhat took style after that, but not really copying you, but just worked it in my own type of running style.
By the time you turn uphill, there's a lot to see, and if there's a hole there, you're ready to fly in there. I sort of like those kind of plays.
Well, that's the play I find, with running McKay's system on offense, that I can really see a lane and really go for that lane. Everybody knows what's coming at you. The only thing they have to do is, our talent against their talent, and that's it.
One thing about it, McKay always sees to it that we got a lot of talent.
Anthony Davis, the first runner in the history of the Pacific 8 to gain more than 1,000 yards 3 consecutive seasons. And the Pac-8's all-time scoring leader, a worthy successor to O.J. At Oklahoma, they say he's the most dangerous and exciting runner they've ever seen. He's Joe Washington, top ground gainer in the rugged Big 8, both his sophomore and junior season. Joe says, my eyes and feet are in tune. My legs seem to move in the right direction. At the same time, my eyes tell me where to go. Says opposing coach Darrell Royal, he's got the quickest acceleration I've ever seen. Says the Nebraska linebacker, if he gets loose, he'll run a lot of weight off you before you bring him down. The subject is electrifying Joe Washington, the Oklahoma UFO, with one more year to go. On October 19th, one of college football's all-time All-America backs returned home. The galloping ghost, Red Grange, came back to Illinois 50 years after he literally destroyed Michigan in one of the finest performances ever by a college runner. Now the records of Grange and all those other talented Big Ten runners are being shattered by a young man from Columbus, Ohio, Archie Griffin.
I try to break every play. I know that's impossible, but you know, if you try to break every play, you might happen to find yourself out in daylight sometime, and you know, it might work sometime. Well, I line up a little bit deep. I line up about 7 yards deep, mainly because I want to get a good read on the hole, read off the tackle's block, and I'll just run for the hole. I'll line and block, and I'll run. That's all I have to do is run. They open up the holes, so they make it kind of easy. When I get that touchdown, it's just like them getting the touchdown, too.
Archie makes my job an awful lot easier. On Archie's touchdown run yesterday, it was over my side, and I had a bad block, but he's just so quick that, you know, he's by the guy before the guy realizes what's going on.
Coach Hayes, he talks about string of pearls. That's how many tackles you can break in. You know, like somebody try to tackle you and, you know, they fall off, so that's one pearl. Next man try to tackle you, fall off, that's another pearl. String of pearls all the way down the line. If you get a string of pearls and get a touchdown.
Touchdowns mean Buckeye leaves at Ohio State, and Buckeye leaves mean success. Archie Griffin knows success. He's the Big Ten's all-time leading ground gainer. Probably Griffin's most amazing feat was running for over 100 yards during 21 consecutive regular season games. No one in the history of college football ever was that consistent. The Buckeyes' favorite play is simply to give Archie the ball and let him find daylight. With another season ahead, Archie Griffin is on his way to becoming the sport's first major college runner to total 5,000 career yards. That's some running, giving Archie Griffin the 1974 Heisman Trophy as the top player in college football.
You have just seen in action our selection for the coach's 1974 All-American team. It is made up of talented and dedicated young men who excelled in the field and in the classroom. Each has earned the hard way his All-America title. I would like to thank you fans for making 1974 a great year for college football.
Since the 1940s, when the coaches first presented the official All-America team on film, spectacular runners have dominated college football. Nostalgic flashbacks capture the brilliance of the 50s big names: Billy Cannon, Jimmy Brown, and Hopalong Cassidy. In the 60s, there was Ernie Davis, Joe Polino, and the incomparable O.J. Simpson. Who can forget this run that put Southern California in the Rose Bowl? But the backs of the 70s outgained them all. 5 of the top 10 ground gainers in all of college football history played in 1975. As the competition to excel increases, the young men who finally rise to the top become a part of college football's oldest tradition, originated by Yale coach Walter Camp more than 85 years ago. They are the best. The 1975 All-Americans.
Each year in coaches' meetings like this, we study thousands of feet of game film. We look at hundreds of football players, and by the time the season is over, we've coached against or compared movie action of all the top players in college football. As president of the American Football Coaches Association, I have the honor of introducing to you our choice as the best, the 1975 All-America football team. Catches like these are beautiful to watch, and believe me, they win games. The young men we've selected as All-America receivers caught many clutch passes in 1975, earning them this special honor.
This little guy is a big reason winning football has returned to Berkeley, California. A 6-foot, 180-pound master of the clutch catch is Steve Rivera, number 7. With Rivera as the primary receiver, the Golden Bears led the country in total offense and won a share of their first Pacific 8 championship since 1958. You gotta have good moves to be an All-American receiver, and the folks at Missouri recommend a tall, rangy senior named Henry Marshall. An agriculture major, Marshall, at 6'5", is the kind of towering target quarterbacks love. And so did the coaches selecting Henry Marshall as an All-American receiver. No high-powered scoring attack can be successful without the men who labor in the offensive line. Southern California's Marvin Powell, number 76, a junior, cleared the path for Ricky Bell, the country's leading ground gainer. The biggest sociology major at Wisconsin is 260-pound Dennis Lick, number 70. Also, according to his coach, the best offensive lineman ever to wear a Badger uniform. What turns a Texas gal on? Could be that longhorn wishbone attack with a big old fullback to ramble and a super hoss tackle to make some daylight. Bob Simmons, number 70, is the 5th Texas blocker in the last 6 years to be named to the Coaches All-America team.
I guess after my sophomore year, I began thinking about it a little bit, and I made All-Conference, and I began to think a little bit that maybe someday I would make All-American, and it's something that you keep in the back of your mind no matter what.
Senior Bob Simmons, another blocking standout who helped make the running game the big story of 1975. An education major, guard Randy Johnson of Georgia spearheaded the Bulldogs' drive to a Cotton Bowl invitation. The man over the football is Nebraska's Rick Bonnets. A senior, Rick dedicated his skills as a youngster to athletics and is the subject of this Kodak flashback from 1 to 21, as recalled by his mother, Mrs. Arlene Bonnets.
Rick has always enjoyed being outside. He and his younger brother Bob spent a lot of time together, playing with their pets, with their dog, when they were in grade school. I remember how tricky it was to take a summer vacation between the end of baseball season and the beginning of football practice. Junior high seemed to be one continuous sport event. After football ended in the fall, basketball began. During his senior year, Rick was invited to visit the university campus in Lincoln. And I think this is probably when he began to think about playing football at a big school.
Nebraska football to me when I was young was a pretty distant thing. It was something I listened to on Saturday afternoons on the radio. It's a home state school. I think that naturally has quite an effect on me. My father went here, and I was just happy to have the chance to be able to come down here and play.
The state of Nebraska is proud of its homegrown hero, Rick Bonnets. Joining Bonnets on the interior offensive line are Marvin Powell of USC, Wisconsin's Dennis Lick, Bob Simmons of Texas, and Georgia's Randy Johnson.
As a former quarterback myself, I can fully understand the pressures both mentally and physically on today's signal callers. There were a great many outstanding quarterbacks in 1975, and selecting a single standout was a tough assignment.
The University of California at Los Angeles, famed for its perennial basketball powerhouses and pretty girls, also boasts a proud football tradition. Its honor roll of quarterbacks headed by Bob Waterfield, Billy Kilmer, and Gary Beeben. Joining this list of UCLA greats in 1975 is John Shara, a scrambling senior who, like all of today's top signal callers, runs with the fury of a halfback. A shortstop on the baseball team, Shara throws a football with pinpoint accuracy. And he can drill it when he has to. But the quality that sets Shara apart is his ability to turn a busted play into a big gainer. While looking for the pass, the defense must respect his flair for running. A sociology major who believes getting along with people is one of the most important lessons he learns in school, John Shara has some definite ideas about college football.
I don't think a coach should really stress the aspect of winning. I think what a coach should stress is the aspect of playing to the best of your ability, and everything else comes after that. My outlook is to play to the best of my ability, and once I achieve that, then I feel I'm a victor.
All-America John Shara guiding UCLA to its first Rose Bowl in 10 years.
To win football games, you first have to stop the other team from scoring. Now that's called defense. These young men take pride in their jobs. They are the best defensive players in college football. And do they love to hit?
4 years ago, at the ripe old age of 17, freshman Steve Niehaus, number 70, became the youngest starter ever at Notre Dame. Now, overcoming 2 knee operations, this husky 270-pound senior is one of the most feared tacklers in the sport and an overwhelming choice for the All-America defensive line. At Oklahoma University, where great defensive linemen are no novelty, something new was added in 1975. An All-America Brothers Act, featuring the fabulous Selmans, Dewey, and number 93, Leroy.
Now, Leroy Selman is probably the greatest down lineman to ever play at the University of Oklahoma. He is a tremendous football player, a complete football player.
A complete person, too. Leroy Selman, who believes kids need help. And so this 21-year-old senior volunteered to spend much of his summer counseling young people with drug, family, and school problems. It was Leroy's jarring tackle that proved a turning point in the Sooner victory over Nebraska. All in a day's work for Leroy Selman, just following in the footsteps of older brother Lucius.
Lucius was the first one to get started, and he didn't get started until the high school coach got a look at him while he was lifting a few weights, and we just kind of trailed along, and I'm sure that probably if he hadn't started, we wouldn't have either.
Mrs. Jessie Selman of Eufaula, Oklahoma says, "I know they're always talking about Leroy, but I think Dewey is just as good." That's a mother for you. Never mentioning that most folks believe Dewey is also the meanest of the Selmans.
I don't say that I'm mean, but I'm like this. When I go on the football field from the sidelines, I only plan on being out there 3 plays. That's all.
3 plays and upwards of 500 pounds of Selman, powering Oklahoma into the Orange Bowl. A record 46 All-Americans have been coached by the man in the houndstooth hat. And Bear Bryant's 47th is a 6'3", 210-pound defensive end named Leroy Cook. Number 98 is the Bears kind of player. Aggressive enough to miss the enemy, get up, pursue, and run him down. For 2 years in a row, Cook led the Crimson Tide in tackles and stiff necks. Playing on the nation's top defense against scoring, Cook strives for perfection. When he doesn't quite reach that standard, Leroy makes absolutely no effort to hide his frustration. Alabama's Leroy Cook, All-America defensive lineman.
If you want to see the guys who can destroy an offense, watch the linebacker. Look for the players who are quick and mean, and you've got your All-America linebacker.
Dartmouth's Reggie Williams, number 63, All-Ivy heavyweight wrestler, co-captain of the Big Green football team with a future in medicine. For 3 straight years, Williams has made more stops than any other Dartmouth defender. An All-America linebacker. The hatchet man of the Syracuse defense is Ray Preston, number 33, a fiery leader who locates the ball quickly and moves in for the kill. As captain and 3-year starter, Ray Preston has been a vital part of football's resurgence at Syracuse. A teammate says of Texas A&M's Ed Simonini, he's quiet until just before the game. Then he blows up, yelling and screaming all over the field. A wrestler at Valley High School in Las Vegas, Simonini brought to Texas A&M a rugged determination to make the big play. Majoring in ocean biology, number 77 has been a 4-year starter on a defense that in 1975 was the best in America. Another dangerous Aggie is defensive back Pat Thomas, number 28. The coaches agreed Thomas is the type of super athlete, so necessary to man the last line of defense. The mission of the U.S. Naval Academy, to prepare young men morally, mentally, and physically to be officers in the Naval Service. While working toward that goal, Chet Moeller, number 48, found time to be one of America's top football players. Carrying a B average in systems engineering, this intense, highly competitive senior from Kettering, Ohio, is Navy's first All-America since Roger Staubach in 1963. Head coach George Welsh thinks Moeller is one of the best ever at Annapolis.
Chet Moeller is a very unusual individual. His play on the kickoff in the Virginia game, I have never seen anything like it in all my years in football. He split the wedge, slid on the ground on his shoulder, and knocked the ball carrier down about the 15-yard line. He's made plays similar to that, but I think that was the one that probably epitomizes the kind of performance that he's given us in Navy football over the past 3 years.
Every spring for the last 4 years, somebody at Arizona State talked about making a receiver out of Mike Haynes. But every fall, number 40 was back at work in the secondary, leading the nation in interceptions as a junior and now, as a senior, winning a berth in the All-America defensive backfield. This man's father, a Michigan fullback, was the most valuable player in the 1951 Rose Bowl. Now, Don Dufek Jr., number 35, is the Wolfman of the Wolverine defense. Already drafted by the Detroit Red Wings for his hockey ability, Don Dufek will finish his football career on a Michigan team that has lost only 2 regular season games in 3 years. Everyone knows about Ohio State's explosive offense, but what makes the defense go? Try the name Tim Fox, a 21-year-old senior. Always coming up with the big play, Fox is a gridiron showman who says, "Wait a minute, number 41, I've got to do my somersault." Majoring in journalism, Fox is co-captain of the Buckeyes, who closed out a perfect year, won the regular season national championship, and returned for their 4th consecutive visit to the Rose Bowl. That's worth another flip. Ohio State's Tim Fox, rounding out the All-America defensive backfield. Those are the best defensive players in college football. One more group remains. The record-shattering runners who helped make the 1975 college game the most exciting, productive, and colorful in history. Now the runner. Many of the reasons behind this record-breaking year can be found in the evolution of the modern running game. In the post-World War II period, the single-wing offense produced versatile triple-threat tailbacks like Doak Walker. And operating from the T formation, Army's Glenn Davis, number 41, ran or passed for a touchdown every 9 times he handled the football. Still a record. The 50 saw a swing to a more conservative game. Hopalong Cassidy, number 40. Johnny Latner, Alan the Horse Amici, and Ernie Davis, number 44. Durable runners who played both offense and defense. Then in the mid to late 60s, 2 factors revolutionized the running game. The return of 2-platoon football and the introduction of the wishbone or veer offense. In 1970, an 11th game was added. And in 1972, freshmen were ruled eligible. More games and 4 years to play. As a result, in 1975, 36 runners gained over 1,000 yards. And college football crowned a new all-time rushing champion. Players were running more, for more yards than at any time in history. And here are some of the best. Oklahoma senior Joe Washington became the 4th top all-time ground gainer in college football history. Kentucky's Sonny Collins, career leader in the Southeastern Conference and a member of the all-time NCAA Top 10. Ohio State's bruising Pete Johnson, who scored 25 touchdowns in 75. College football's most versatile runner, Chuck Muncie, the best ever at California, and a senior who powered the Bears into a share of the top spot of the rugged Pacific 8 Conference.
Most fans get a real thrill out of watching a runner break a tackle, turn on the speed, and romp into the end zone. These backs rated tops and are 1975's All-America runners.
2 years ago, as a freshman, Pittsburgh's Tony Dorsett galloped through Notre Dame's defense for an incredible 209 yards. That was an all-time record against the Fighting Irish that stood for 2 years, until Tony Dorsett, now a junior, welcomed Notre Dame back into Pitt Stadium. This time, the sleek Panther outlegged the Irish defenders for 303 yards on the ground. One of the best single-game performances by a back in over 100 years of college football. With 1 more year to play, Tony Dorsett is 3rd on the NCAA career ground-gaining chart, and a young man who takes his sudden success in stride.
Pittsburgh has meant a great deal to me. You come here and so many things have happened to me in such a short time. You know, I just love the place, and my parents come see all my games, and, you know, just motivates me a little more and want to go out there and do more things to make them proud of me.
In another year, Tony Dorsett could become the first player ever to rush for over 1,000 yards 4 consecutive seasons. Someone once asked Southern California coach John McKay why he makes his tailback carry the football 35 to 40 times a game. He answered, "Why not? It's not very heavy." Ricky Bell, the latest in a long and talented list of Trojan tailbacks, served a rugged apprenticeship. As a freshman, he played defense, lettering at linebacker. As a sophomore, he was a blocking back, usually watching Anthony Davis wiggle by. Then, as a junior, Ricky Lynn Bell got his initial taste of glory. In his first game at tailback, Bell set a Trojan single-game record with 256 yards. He gained more yards than any other college runner in 1975 and fell just 6 short of Ed Marinaro's national season rushing record. At 6'2", 215 pounds, Bell is the biggest of the great USC tailbacks and right behind O.J. Simpson in speed. He prepared for his heavy-duty role last summer by running 2.5 miles daily in heavy combat boots along the sandy beaches of Santa Monica. Physically and mentally, it toughened Ricky Bell and helped him become the 4th All-America tailback at Southern California in the last 10 years. The eyes that once were on the likes of Bobby Lane, Chris Gilbert, Steve Worcester, now focus on a 20-year-old sophomore fullback from Tyler, Texas, named Earl Campbell. His goals are to gain 2,000 yards in a season, win the Heisman Trophy, be on a national champion, and help Texas win the Southwest Conference crown. Nearly impossible for one man to stop, Campbell brings out the praise of Coach Darrell Royal.
Earl Campbell is truly an outstanding football player. He has all the basic qualities. He has size. He weighs 225. He has speed. He can run with halfbacks. He's an outstanding blocker. And when you talk about his attitude, I would say he has as good an attitude of any player I've ever worked with.
At Ohio State, there are many Archie Griffins. There's Archie the cheerleader, Archie the blocker, Archie the receiver, Archie the record breaker, Archie the battered, and Archie, the young man who Woody Hayes says is the most popular player ever at Ohio State. But the best-known Archie Griffin is Archie the runner, bursting into the defense, feigning one way and cutting another, waddling through the secondary with a style so unique his teammates call him Duckfoot, battering and accelerating all the way to 6 points. For Archie Mason Griffin, the climb to the top was not easy. In grade school, a chunky Griffin was put at middle guard and called Tank by his friends. A determined Archie trimmed down, and when no one wanted to play fullback at Columbus Eastmoor High, Archie volunteered. The rest is history. The first runner ever to gain over 5,000 career yards. 31 consecutive regular season games, over 100 yards. And the first player in the history of college football to win the Heisman Trophy 2 consecutive years.
You've just seen in action our selections for the 1975 Coaches All-America team.
Once again, the defensive line. The linebackers. The secondary. On the offense, the interior line. The receivers. The quarterback and the runner.
Now speaking for the American Football Coaches Association, I want to thank Eastman Kodak Company for making this film possible. Also, our thanks to you fans for making 1975 a great year for college football.